Good evening, everyone. We can all gather around. We're going to get the program started. What a great group tonight. Holy smokes. My name is David Stark. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Iowa Methodist Medical Center, Unity Point Health, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to a very, very special evening. First, I want to recognize and thank Bruce Day over here for playing such wonderful music. Join me in a round of applause. We have great music to get us into the mood. His lovely family over here to my left. We're here tonight to kick off a couple of things. One, in a couple of days, Donate Life Month starts in earnest in April, and we picked tonight for that reason, to be here to celebrate our Walls of Heroes. Our Wall of Heroes project, and we'll do the unveiling here shortly. We have some very special people that are intricately involved in our transplant and organ donation program here at Methodist that we're so proud of. But tonight wouldn't have happened without a wonderful group of people, our committee, that has worked tirelessly, literally for months, probably into years, right, Meg? To help make tonight happen. If you're in the audience that are part of that committee that made tonight happen, would you please raise your hand? I want to give you a round of applause. Some of you back there. Great job. Specifically Meg Rodriguez, Nicole Patterson, you two, your leadership were wonderful on making this happen. So why a Wall of Heroes? Everybody has their picture in their mind, right? That comic book hero, of the hero you see on television. The one that selflessly rushes into danger, not away from it, not having any regard for their own safety, but for the benefit of others, and to think, what can I do for other people? And we look up to them, right? Well, there's heroes among us, right here. And that gift of organ donation, that true gift is a miracle. It's a miracle that somebody that you may or may not know is waiting for right now. And so we celebrate our Wall of Heroes because the people that make organ donation happen and the families that support them, you are delivering miracles. You are our heroes. And we thank you for what you do and for the awareness that it creates. We're very blessed here in Iowa that 65% of all adults in Iowa have said yes to organ donation on their driver's license. 65%. have said yes. We want that number to be higher, but that's been a dedicated effort, and part of tonight is awareness that what yes means and the difference it can mean to so many people, so many families. And I say thank you to all of you that are organ donors and support that, because it does make a difference. We are blessed to have a wonderful transplant program right here at Iowa Methodist Medical Center, world class. And the staff, the physicians, the nurses, the therapists, our social workers, our pharmacists, they get to see this at critical care folks every single day. It's a real blessing. We see the impact of what organ donation is like. But there's nothing like hearing about it from the words of the people that are literally involved in this day in and day out. So it's my pleasure to first introduce Dr. Carlos Pelaez. Carlos is one of our wonderful trauma surgeons here, and today happens to be National Doctors Day. So appropriate that we say Happy Doctors Day to all of you physicians that are here. But I'm going to ask Carlos to come up and share from his perspective as a trauma surgeon what he sees and the impact of organ donation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Carlos Pelaez.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you joined the night. I was asked to talk to you guys a little bit about my experiences and my perspective as a trauma surgeon and what we see when caring for these patients. Because of the type of practice, my practice, I'm always dealing with patients with severe injuries, patients who have an unexpected change in health and who will unlikely recover from their injuries. It's a difficult time, not only for the families, but for the providers and the team who's caring for these patients to have this difficult discussions with the families. It is very hard to see the patient suffering, with pain and suffering, who has sustained severe injury, but also, on the other hand, In my practice, I get to see the pain and the suffering that the patient who is waiting for an organ, what they have to go through. So in both cases, it's very difficult, and it's very, all these interactions are hard. I want to share with you guys something that I hear regularly, and something that is common for both families, for both scenarios. It's something that I know I'm going to hear many, many times in the future. When you talk to these patients and their families, all they're hoping for is a miracle, for something to happen, for something to change, for their condition to improve. Unfortunately, in many cases, this is not going to happen, and this is where it gets really hard. It's a time of tremendous sadness. It's very difficult for families or for us as families to make decisions. But through organ donation and awareness of this opportunity and the gift of life, when it becomes an opportunity and when families hear about this option, it really changes the dynamics of those interactions. It changes their attitudes, it changes their perspective, and I think it gives families some closure, some comfort, and also a sense of pride of what their loved one is about to leave, or the gift of life this patient will leave to others. So, the last thing I wanted to share is something I heard recently from one of our donor families. And as I said, this is something that you hear frequently. Again, all they wanted was a miracle. But in their words, that miracle, there will be a miracle, but not the miracle that we're waiting for or that we're hoping for. There will be a miracle for many others who will benefit through the process of organ donation. So that's what we hear regularly. That's what families go through. That's some of the emotions and some of the things that we as providers, and I'm speaking on behalf of the nurses and the coordinators and everybody who's involved in the donation process. So the wall, I gotta be honest with you guys, I took a peek of that wall, and as I'm thinking of some of the emotions and some of the thoughts and some of those memories that come back from experiences in the past, this is going to be a great reminder, a great representation of what organ donation is about. For those of us who walk this hallways on a daily basis, that's going to remind us every day of why is it important to do what we do on a daily basis. So with that, I hope you guys like it all, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Carlos, very much, and thank you for literally walking the hallways every single day and for what you do as one of our great trauma surgeons here. Next, I want to introduce Sarah Malone. Sarah is a registered nurse here at Iowa Methodist Medical Center, and also a unique perspective as the daughter of a donor. Sarah, will you please come forward? Please join me in welcoming Sarah Malone.
I am honored tonight to be representing my family, and more than anyone, my mom, Barbara Feldman. My mom was a farm girl growing up in Polk City, who eventually graduated from nursing school at Iowa Lutheran Hospital and made a career out of doing what she loved, being a nurse. As a little girl, I loved to dress up in my mom's uniform and play nurse. I eventually graduated from DMAC and have made a career out of doing what I love, which is being a nurse. I didn't know that my first years of being an ICU nurse here at Iowa Methodist would be one day be foundational in my future. I've had the pleasure of caring for patients who would become organ donors, and I've had the pleasure of giving tender care to the family members who are alongside of those patients. And yet little did I know that my family and I would be grieving at my mom's bedside, receiving that same tender care from those whom I had worked with. In June of 2011, my mom suddenly fell ill, and she was a patient here at Iowa Methodist. She'd had a blood vessel rupture in her brain, and that was what eventually took her life. My mom was an organ donor. I always knew that about her, and for some reason, I was actually with her the last time she renewed her driver's license, and we had chatted about how we both wanted to be able to help others if we ever were put in that position. It's amazing how much peace that brought to my heart knowing that this was something that she had desired. She was able to donate her kidneys, liver, corneas. Now several people have a second chance at living their lives. The last time I received an update from the Iowa Donor Network, those transplant recipients all had very good organ function. That is nearly 6 years of quality of life for them. As a nurse here at Unity Point Health and the daughter of an organ donor, I am grateful for this wall of heroes creating an opportunity and the potential to inspire others to consider giving the gift of life. I think it's an honor to have the Iowa Donor Network and Unity Point Health organizations create a memorial with a purpose to never forget the heroes that have given life to others. Just as my mom had inspired me to become a nurse, I'm confident that this display of lives changed and hope given because of those who gave of themselves will make young and old consider if they are also willing to be such a hero. Thank you.
Should have warned you tonight that you might have your emotions moved a little bit, and that's okay because this is pretty heavy stuff. And so having that family connection plus the nursing connection, I think is very powerful. So Sarah, thank you very much. Speaking of powerful, the next person we want to have come up here, Susan Morgan. Susan is one of the heroes that we talked about. She's a living donor. She donated an organ to somebody that she does not know out of the kindness of her heart. And I think it's very unique to have somebody be able to talk to you tonight about what she did and how she did it. Please join me in welcoming a very large round of applause for Susan Morgan, living donor at our own Methodist Medical Center.
Really kind of an honor to be standing here before you guys. I know not a lot of donors get to do that. However, their families do. For me, I chose living donation. I always wanted to give somebody that second chance at life. Whether it's watching their child graduate from high school, walking them down an aisle, holding their grandchild for the first time, whatever that might be, we kind of all deserve to have that appreciation of our families. I am blessed with two amazing children that were a very, very big part of my donation. My daughter spent the time in the hospital with me, and both of my children were here the day of surgery. My daughter speaks very highly, calling me her hero, and I always say that not all heroes wear capes. So we were talking about the superheroes going into fighting or going to save everybody. The wall for me is an amazing thing. I hope that my story can just inspire one person to take a look at that living donation and say, I don't have to know the person that I'm giving it an organ to, but I'm more than willing to help. Because that connection that you feel with that person is something that nobody else can share with them. So giving them the life that they deserve to live is really kind of a powerful thing. People ask me all the time if I feel different, if I notice that I'm missing a kidney. And my response to them is always the same. The only thing I notice is that my heart's a little bit bigger. So thank you guys for being here. It's really kind of powerful.
Wow. I think your kids are lucky to have one heck of a mom. Susan, that's for sure. That's for darn sure. I had a great privilege to meet Susan tonight before the program started, and kind of the irony of all irony, she talked about making a difference. She told me a handful of stories already. She works for the DOT. So you think anybody gets through her without signing up to be an organ donor? I realize tonight the answer to that is no. You better say yes. You're going through her line. That's right. Just say yes. Next, I'll introduce Caleb Hegna. Caleb is our Director of Development. Tonight, we took so much time and effort to pull this off, and so many important people. One of those largest groups we want to thank specifically are our donors. Tremendous amount of philanthropy that happened to bring tonight together. And I'm going to ask Caleb Hegna to please come to the podium to recognize those folks that helped make the wall tonight happen. Caleb?
Gratitude is a very powerful word, and it is a word that we can all understand and we all look at a little bit differently, depending on our life experience and those times in our lives where we feel and express gratitude. Tonight is a night of gratitude, and we say thanks in many ways. And as David shared, tonight is possible because of charitable donations. The wall and the artwork that you will see very shortly was only possible because of philanthropy. We had a couple of very important donors to help make that possible, and we want to say thank you tonight. We're going to start with a very special group of people, the My Angel Foundation. Ted Cochran and his board is here tonight, and they stepped forward with a very generous lead gift to help us begin the planning process. And it was their gift that led the committee the opportunity to dream and aspire to create something that will honor and recognize and celebrate the gift of life. Joining the My Angel Foundation, we also have Scott and Kathy Bannister, who made a very generous gift, and they have it from an entirely different perspective, a very special appreciation for the gift of organ donation. Dr. Donald and Linda Hillebrand made a very nice gift as well to help make this possible. Dr. Hillebrand is a GI and transplant hepatologist and the medical director for our Center for Liver Disease. And in his practice, he sees what the impact is in the lives of patients and families, and wanted to help make that possible with his wife. We also are very fortunate to have the support of Iowa Kidney Physicians PC. Many of you may know the group and the physicians. They're key partners in the care that we provide and what we do as a transplant center. This wall was 100% supported by philanthropy. If it hadn't been for these individuals and organizations, we wouldn't have what we have tonight, but they all gave willingly to express their gratitude for the gift of life. So I'd like for you to join with me in expressing our gratitude to them. We also need to thank some very special people who helped to put together, install the donor wall. To put it mildly, there were a few pieces. In a few hours, a few tears, and maybe a few bits of frustration as it all came together. But what you will see tonight is not so much a piece of artwork, but it is a commitment upon all of us, even those who installed it, to celebrate and honor life. And it really began with the artist who designed it, Travis Rice, who wished he could be here tonight but was not able to. And guiding us through the process was someone we have become good friends with, TJ Moberg with Moberg Gallery. He guided us all from beginning to end. Helping to with the installation is John Dickerson with Dogfish Graphics and Andy Ross with Vital Sign Display Graphics. They manufactured and installed the piece, and I can tell you a few stories about what they heard as people walked by and read the sign about what would be behind the curtain as they were installing it. Brian Matthew is here tonight with Electrical Engineering and Equipment Company. They donated the lighting as well as the expertise, and we're glad to have him here, grateful for that in-kind contribution. It really does help the piece shine. We have also with us tonight Mike Duffy, Heath Marshall, and Justin Ackelson couldn't be here. They're with Commonwealth Electricity of the Midwest. They're incredible partners of ours at the hospital, giving in many, many different ways. They contributed 100% of the installation and the electrical work, as well as helping with the installation. And we also want to thank Fed Decorators of Iowa. They helped us keep the piece hidden as well as to keep the piece protected while we installed. As I said, it took many, many hours. They put in a lot of time, but most of all, they put their heart into the piece. So I want you to join with me in thanking them for their work and dedication. Now to learn a little bit more about the piece, I want to bring up someone we all know quite well, Meg Rodriguez, to share a little bit about the artwork and what it will be.
Couldn't decide between the
flashlight or the reader, so my flashlight. I'm honored to read the piece that Travis Rice has written about this artwork and where his thought process was in creating this. Just so you know, this is actually included in the monitor, so when you have a chance to go look at it, there's a page where you can read this. So it's called The Search for the Missing Piece. So much of life is about searching. We search for personal things like the right partner or the right career, for frivolous things like the right shoes or the ultimate handbag, for complex things like the appropriate words to help a struggling friend, or sometimes we search for simple things like the perfect gift. Finding a visual way to bring awareness while at the same time showing compassion and understanding of the anxiety and struggle that is associated with someone going through the search for an organ donor was an incredibly daunting task. While I played with several ideas, I kept coming back to the notion of constructing a puzzle. And while it may seem like an obvious metaphor, I felt so aptly described the search for that single missing link that once discovered literally holds the key to life for someone who is waiting for an organ donation, as it is truly the perfect gift. The metaphor transcends the visual of just finding that absent junction, as it also describes a new opportunity to build a life as each new experience post-organ donation is but another piece of the puzzle in the construction of new friendships, accomplishments, and ultimately an accumulation of fresh encounters within the world. The puzzle I've created for the Wall of Heroes is meant to feel like it is in the process of being assembled, as puzzle pieces float in space searching for their ultimate destination. Each visitor quickly finds that they are participating in the piece as they see their own reflection in the mirrored finish and are therefore able to contemplate the idea that they can play a role in saving someone's life via organ donation. The colored plexiglass panels offer an opportunity for awareness through simple yet thought-provoking words that express gratitude, inspiration, and further reflection. Tying it all together in the background mural, revealing that this process is an ongoing one with an infinite number of puzzle pieces waiting to fall into place, providing optimism and a reason to not give up hope in that complex, emotional, life-changing search for the missing piece, the perfect gift. And then I just wanted to say a few words real quickly on behalf of the committee before we go for the actual unveiling. This project has been many, many years in the making, and it's involved a lot of people. We have some people here tonight who are now retired that were here in the early stages when we first started talking about this dream. But for the current committee that's really put a lot of work into the last 2 years, first to my co-chair, Nicole Patterson, for being there every step of the way. Also to the committee members who dedicated so much time to this project in the past year, Jessica Den, Sam Heckthorn, Andrea Bacon, Sarah Malone, Deanne Webb, Jennifer Hall, and Ellie Engelbrecht. And also I want to say a thank you to our administrative team, to Robin and Tom, Laura and Caleb, who just spoke from the foundation. It was when they got involved that we really started to see some traction. They really helped guide us through this. The insight and the support and insight has been invaluable. And then just a little bit about our passion behind this project, why it's important for us. Organ tissue and eye donation has a far-reaching impact on donor families and on recipients, and on so many levels. This project has been a passion of ours because of our roles here in the hospital and at the Transplant Center. Every day we work with those who are selfless enough to be a living donor, to care for those who are waiting for their transplant, or to care for them after they've received their transplant. We are also meeting families under the worst circumstances possible, who have just lost a loved one, and being given the opportunity to walk that first part of this very difficult journey with them. Families who are able to see through their own grief and loss, and to think of others, to try and help others who are they themselves waiting for a miracle. And so every year we put up display boards here in the atrium with those stories and those photos, words that have given the story of people who left such a powerful and lasting legacy. And now we are so humbled and honored that we've been able to provide a permanent home for these stories and for the stories yet to come. For these truly are the stories that show the very best of humanity. So now for the final part of our program, Jennifer Paul, our chaplain who's on the committee, not sure where she's at, she's going to give a blessing down by the wall before we unveil it. So, and just a quick word, after we're done with the unveiling, please feel free to stay. There's going to be music and whatever food is left, and to take a look at the art piece and check out the interactive video screen. But that will continue on until 7. So thank you for coming. There's committee members over by the door, and we'd like to ask donor families that you go down first, that you can actually see the wall when we go unveil it. So thank you.
Committee for about 4 years, and on behalf of the committee, we want Meg, who's been our sometimes fearless and lots of times fearful leader, we want to recognize you, Meg. So, thank you. All right, so let's pray, because it's appropriate in this space that we give thanks and that we receive a blessing and give a blessing. So pray with me. God of life, God of healing, you have created us with so much amazingness. You've created us in such ways that we figured out how to remove tissue and organs and cornea and to use them to give life to other people. You've granted surgeons and researchers and nurses and all of the medical staff, you've given them gifts, and they have faithfully used those gifts. So we ask that you bless them. We ask that you bless the transplant team. We ask that you bless all of the people here in this space. There are people who have given life, and there are people who have received life. Be with us. May this peace inspire us, grant us courage to say yes, and grant us willingness to continue to live abundantly. Amen. Amen. Drop it!
Wait, ready? Meg, are you cutting?
Yeah,
I'm cut. Okay. Okay, did you cut, Meg?
Yep.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.